All right, folks, welcome to PopsToberFest. That's right. We're going to talk about some Halloweeny movies for the month of October. And with me, TayTay's in the house. That's right. My lovely daughter's back with us. We're going to talk about a couple of favorites over the course of the month, some different things we've never seen before, that kind of thing. And to kick things off, we're going to talk about Coraline.
Coraline Jones always dreamed of finding a better world, but never imagined it would be in her own home.
We've been waiting for you, Coraline.
A place so perfect,
I love your garden!
it can't be real.
You probably think this world is a dream come true, but you're wrong.
You're in terrible danger.
From the director of The Nightmare Before Christmas.
She's got this whole world where everything's better, but it's all a trap.
How dare you disobey your mother?
You aren't my mother.
Coraline, rated PG.
Tay, this is one of your favorites. You actually talked about how much you love this movie.
I do. I love this movie for a lot of different reasons too. Partially just because it's one of those extremely respected claymation movies that's just done so phenomenally, and the directing on this film brought the story to life in a whole new way. I read the book as I got older, so I like enjoy the movie even more now, and just kind of understanding the different things that they've taken from folklore to incorporate it into this movie makes it even that much more enjoyable.
Yeah, this feels like a film that can get better with time and can get better as you get used to some of the different metaphors and different things that are going on in this film. So
Yeah.
quick little synopsis for those of you at home don't know much about Coraline or if you should see it or not. The film is stop motion animation by the great Henry Selick, who you know from Nightmare Before Christmas and James the Giant Peach and others. It's an adaptation of a novella from Neil Gaiman, famous comic book creator and writer. It's 11-year-old Coraline. You see there in the middle. She's with her parents. This is the typical young tween or teen who's moved to a completely new area, trying to find themselves slash adventure. And in doing so, she meets a neighbor and she finds this little rag doll that looks like her. And there's a well out back. And at night, she discovers that in this room, there's this little secret passage with like a brick wall. But at certain times, it turns into like a little tunnel and you kind of like a secret passage to basically another alternate universe of her world where everything is perfect. The only difference is her parents, they have button eyes instead of their normal faces. But here, her parents know how to cook and they're happy and there's a garden and things are wonderful. It's sort of like everything that she would want in a life that's great. And her little doppelganger eyes family here and other people are there. And the story kind of centers around Coraline unpacking this adventure, how it would change her life, how it kind of deals with different characters around her, and is full of a lot of life lessons. And I think, Tay, I'm interested to see your take on this because I feel like this is one of those, it depends on the maturity of the kid, because I think that kids that are probably close to 8 to 11 kind of need to watch and get the messaging, but I'm also not sure the film does a good job of presenting a movie that would be entertaining to that age group, if that makes sense.
I think it depends. My kids really like the movie, but they've also, I feel like stop motion is not appealing to every child. So I think that that's a different take on it, is that my kids really do enjoy stop motion. They've always enjoyed things like Chicken Run, Nightmare Before Christmas, this movie. So it wasn't hard for them to get into, and I think that they both grasp different things, like you said. So my 7-year-old is my youngest. She definitely took it more as like a be careful of the things that you trust kind of, like the whole entire time she's just like, they're not good people, Coraline, get away. Like, stop trusting people you don't know, like go like and listen to your parents and all that kind of stuff. Whereas my oldest, who just turned 11, so at the last time that he watched it, um definitely handled it a little bit more like her. But now that he's older, when we watched it the other day, he was grasping all the different life lessons with the different people that she comes across, because she does see different people in this adventure. It's not just her family, it's different people that exist, and in that new area that she's getting to know. So I think that that was interesting too, because it's good to see that over time they're grasping new morals and understanding the difference between right and wrong, but they're also understanding that how we look into different worlds and how our imagination affects us, that I feel like that's something that's really intriguing as far as like grasping how imagination changes from when we're a child to when you're an adult.
And to fully confess, I will admit that that may be a good metaphor for my coming around to this film, because when I first saw it, I didn't dislike it. I love Henry Melick's work. I thought it was a fine film. I enjoyed a lot of elements to the film, but the depth and some of those kind of things, I kind of like had to come around. Like it took a little while. It wasn't like I got it at the first
Yeah.
viewing and came away loving it. And, oh my gosh, this is the so even I have to admit that it's got some interesting nuances that you kind of have to take to getting used to. And I will say that this is a film that, as you rewatch it, and you're familiarized with the story, you sort of like start to get some of the depth that's in the secondary characters, the people that are in this other apartment area around
Yes.
them, the great, diverse, memorable characters. Some things are kind of played for laughs on the surface, but at the end of the day, there's so much more to it. Also, the
Oh yeah.
transformation of the parents in the other world,
Yes.
how the
Hmm.
realization that what's really going on in the other world, and this this other mother versus other father, and how it's kind of slowly being revealed to the audience, and Coraline's
Yeah.
coming along with her. So I think that it is a film that I needed time to kind of come around to as well. I was surprised that I'm not saying I surprised, probably not the right word. Maybe it was surprise. That you loved it so much. Maybe that's because of the book, but you really, really were like, yeah, yeah, let's do Coraline first. And I was like, wow, that's an interesting choice.
Yeah, I like it for a lot of reasons. So the book, reading that as I got older and then rewatching it, gives you a whole different outlook on the film, I think, is one of the things. I've always liked stop motion, so I really enjoyed it the first time I watched it. This was one of those things that was always on my list. I watch it every year, if not more. So that wasn't necessarily the thing, but now that I've read the book, it gave me a different perspective on it. And also, one of the things that I did actually mention to you is the fact that I researched a little bit more before I watched it after reading the book, and I learned a lot more of how folklore like was intermingled into this story, and I appreciated all of those little nuggets of information that they used in the writing, and it made me enjoy the story and the characters even more. And I don't know if anyone has ever watched stop motion. That's one of the things. It's one of those genres that not everyone has gotten into, but they are sometimes familiar with things that are extreme classics like The Nightmare Before Christmas. But if you ever get the opportunity to watch the behind the scenes of a stop motion, you start to have a lot more respect for the time, the patience, the consideration of like all the facial expressions that go into these characters. They have to change those every few seconds. And it's crazy to me how they put that all together and create such amazing work.
She's an explorer, she's independent, she's curious, but most importantly, she's self-reliant. Her raincoat moved as one big unit. It was like animating a bell on top of your costume. The star sweater was form-fitting on her. You could see the shape of her torso as you were animating, but it was loose enough that the animator was able to tease the sweater up and tease it down. It really brought a sense of authenticity to Coraline's character.
It's Coraline.
Caroline what?
Coraline Jones.
Yeah, I think that the appreciation for stop motion started for me back when I was a kid with Clash of the Titans, and that took me to Jason and the Argonauts and other things. And it has been one of those things that I'm always drawn to. I really do enjoy. And this film, I think on the surface, folks, you'll have a good time with it if you've never seen it. I would be curious to think what kids now feel about this movie, because it does slower than I kind of remembered in some ways, and
Yep.
what messages they'll pick up, because in the beginning she's the typical selfish little 8-year-old, and I think she's 11 in this movie, but kids are a little older than their age nowadays, so it feels like my 8-year-old grandkid, and it's like, oh, I see, you don't have any appreciation for what your parents are doing. You have no appreciation. Everyone should be there to entertain you. You have no tolerance for this little weird neighbor because he's odd and he's strange, and these other little people that are around you. And then by the end of the movie, that message is so different of, hey,
Yeah.
maybe my parents aren't so bad. Maybe they actually do care about me. Maybe these neighbors, like, I mean, she's really critical of one at one point, and then later she's defending. So there's a lot of like opportunities to have conversations with your kid about that. And you've already done that. You've talked about that a little bit here, but is there
Yeah.
one particular theme or story arc that you think that stands out the most to you?
I feel like the dual perspectives. So kind of taking it from both perspectives and mentioning it to my kids to understand the situation from not only Coraline's point of view, but also her parents' point of view. And how they all together, they all grow and understand that there was different things that they needed to work on individually, not saying that one party was in the right over the other. So Coraline did a lot of, like you said, where she was focusing on the negative of her parents not going um, allowing her to do the things that she wanted or not being able to buy the things that she wanted. Whereas then you take it from the perspective of the parents, and it wasn't, she never felt like she was being listened to. And even if it's just a matter of like taking a minute to step back, and as a parent that actually works from home now, I took this as a whole different perspective because that's what they're doing. They're working from home, and that's what they're constantly working. They're only able to feel like they can give their attention to the work because that's what they're doing to take care of Coraline. But she just wants them to give her that slight bit of attention, if anything. Listen to her conversation, answer her questions, while like give her eye contact. And so you see that is improving over time, and then by the end of the film that perspective is coming from the parents as well, and they're understanding, okay, maybe I needed to better this, and I'm sorry that I didn't do what I needed to do as a parent. And I think that for me, I'm grasping a lot from that, and it's not just from the kids either. It's from me as a parent understanding how that can be translated to a child's mind, and they understand it as well, and they know like when I'm working. But if they need anything, I'm willing to step away and take care of it. Like I'm going to prioritize them. So I think that that's one of the respect aspects that's really encouraged throughout this film, is to respect one another regardless of age. And I think that that was one of the biggest things that both of them grasped, regardless of one being younger than the other.
Yeah, the film is very interesting and dynamic. That it definitely evolved from. If you asked me before I saw the movie, what my thoughts would be, I would have had a very sort of like strong Midland score. But this is a very, very good film with a lot of interesting metaphors and conversation starters. I
Oh yeah,
love the fact
most
that so
definitely.
much changes from Coraline's world and perspective in the beginning of the film and how it kind of evolves. I will say the spider elements and some of those kinds of things. It's very, very strange. It's just
Hmm.
an odd thing. It is a little scary esque for kids, but I feel like it is sort of like that, 8 to 12-year-old target range and older. So I don't know if
Yeah.
this would be appropriate for like little kids. But I feel like it's a nice. This is one of those reasons I thought it'd be kind of fun to put this on the front end of the Halloween talk for the month, was like something that could be good for kids and kind of get them into that sort of arena without having something like actual horror. Um, so
Yeah,
I'm going to lean this a little higher than I would have done before I watched it. I'm going to give it into like a 4 out of 5 for me. I think it's a really, really
for
solid
sure.
film with no real issues.
Mhm.
So, and what say you?
Absolutely. I'm right there with you. I'm always going to be like a 4, 4.5. It takes a lot to get me into that 5 realm, but I have so much respect for this movie as far as not only growing up with it to kind of get my perspective over time, because I've rewatched it so many times and I'm always gaining something new every time I watch it, but also just the fact that with it being stop motion, the respect that I have for the filmmakers is always going to be top notch.
Agreed. Agreed. Well, folks, let us know what you think. Tell us what you think of Coraline and what movies you're out there watching, what we should be talking about, that kind of thing. Love to hear from you guys. And take care, everybody. I am Pops.